everyone. For this week's session, we're just going to focus a little bit more on the lower back and the lower body mobility and flexibility. So I'm going to be showing you a number of different exercises that you can easily do at home to stretch your legs, stretch your hips, and stretch through the lower back. I always like to start up by warming up through those muscles. So you could go for a walk, you could take your puppy for a walk, or you could simply just stand straight on up and march on the spot just for about a minute, making sure that you're marching right on the spot, lifting your knees up to about hip height, making sure you're getting some warmth through your whole body just for about a minute's time so that you feel everything warming up, and then you can come straight back down and take a seat. Now, for this first exercise, what I'd like you to really focus on is keeping your spine nice and long. So you're not scooping the tailbone, you're not slumping down in the seated position. I want you to think about pressing your hips away from your rib cage. So you're not really strong through your back. All you're thinking about doing is lengthening through your spine so that your hips press away from your rib cage and your tummy naturally engages just a little bit. Hands can rest on thighs or rest on hips, and from here, without leaning backwards, you're going to gently march on the spot. So lift the legs one at a time without letting your hips hitch at all. A little progression from here, so this is only for 30 seconds, but a little progression from here to keep those legs working a little harder is to lift, extend, bend, and lower. Lift, extend, bend, and lower. This is a little bit harder than simply just lifting one leg at a time. So move within your comfort zone. Don't push yourself too hard with this one. But you should actually feel a little bit more heat through your legs, especially because we're working through both the hip flexors as well as through the quads. From here, now that you're a little warmer through the upper legs, we're going to move into the ankles, so focusing on ankle mobility. This is an exercise you can do anywhere. It's a really wonderful one, and I would recommend doing these once a day per foot. So ankle alphabets. So what I'm going to get you to do here is bring your leg up, so you're extending your leg, just hovering that leg, and trace the alphabet with your foot. So all the way through, doesn't matter if it's in cursive or printing, all you're doing is focusing on taking your ankle through each of those letters the whole way through the alphabet. You can rest at any point if you need to, if your hip flexors are getting a little bit tight, or you can even recline a little bit more, and that makes it a little bit easier on the hip joint just to get through all of those ankle alphabets through your ankle. So once a day and once per foot to go through all of those ankle alphabets. Now into lower back stretching. Now this is one for those of you that do have a fit ball at home. I'll demonstrate this one and then I'll show you another exercise for those of you that don't have a fit ball. Knees part quite a bit wider than hip distance. Take the ball out in front of you and then gently walk the ball away until you can feel a nice stretch through your lower back. So you are taking this ball as far away as you comfortably can and press your hands into the ball while you're stretching. Now, if you can alternate this by standing up and simply find the small of your back with your palms, press your hands in there, and then bring your chest up towards the ceiling. Always shoulders back and down, but really press your hands into the small of your back or a little bit lower and lift that chest up towards the ceiling. Holding that stretch for 2 bouts of 15 seconds should give you a really wonderful lower back stretch. Another seated stretch here is bringing your heel onto your opposite knee. So this is a piriformis stretch. A lot of you get quite tight through your external rotators of your hip. So with this stretch here, focus on keeping a nice neutral spine. So by that, I'll turn my chair side on so you can see. When I'm in this position here, I am not rounding my back. I am staying really tall and lifted, belly button drawn into spine. I flex my foot, so make sure that you're not pointing your toes away from you like a little ballerina. Bring your toes into a flexed position and then lean forwards just a little with a really proud chest. So no rounding the back, keep that spine long, lean forwards and hold for about 15 to 30 seconds. Repeating the same on the other side. And then I'll demonstrate a seated hamstring stretch for those of you that don't have a belt at home that you can use for the lying on your back hamstring stretch. For this one, I'm going to bring my right leg out to the side a little. My left leg I'm going to straighten out long, and then I'm going to slide my fingertips down my thigh, right down my shin until I feel a stretch up the back of my left leg. Now here, to get a little bit more of a neural stretch, I'm going to point my toes back towards my shin and then reach for the toes. Let me know if you don't get a hamstring stretch with this one, and I'll show you some variations that you can do at home. But always about 15 to 30 seconds per stretch. Getting into the hips a little more, you can come into a lunge position. Now let me know if this is not comfortable on your knees, and you can pat it out with a towel, or I can show you some variations at the gym. But from here, I'm going to bring my left foot forward in front of me, keeping my spine really long. Then I'm going to tuck my tailbone just a little bit and lean forwards a little. Now right here, even though my left leg is forward, I'm getting the stretch through my right leg, so through the front of my right hip, and use a chair if you need to maintain balance. But shift forwards until you feel a really good stretch along the front of the back leg. Holding that for about 15 to 30 seconds. And then you can repeat this stretch on the other side. Nice long spine, shift forwards until you feel a really good stretch through the front of that back leg. Now time for all of the floor-based or bed-based stretches. So with these ones, you can lie all the way down on your back. And like the piriformis stretch that I showed you before in the seated position, you can also do this one on the ground. Placing your heel on top of your opposite knee, and then point the toes back towards your shin, press your knee away from you and maintain a neutral spine. So you should be able to get a fingertip underneath the small of your back. It shouldn't be compressed into the ground. So press away here and feel a little stretch through your hip. If this is easy, you can take this a little deeper and you can roll up and hold on to the outside of your shin or your hamstring, but really try and maintain that little gap underneath your back to get a really good stretch through the hamstring here and through the piriformis. So push that knee away from your body, maintain a long spine, drawing the belly button in, and make sure you maintain normal breathing. So hold it for about 15 seconds or for 4 nice long breaths in and out. From here, now you can do this one in bed as well. Bring your feet wider than you normally would for knee rocks, hands resting by your sides, and rock your knees all the way from one side over to the other. And to get a little bit more of a stretch with this one, I look in the opposite direction to the way that my knees are rocking to get a nice stretch through that lower back. One more wonderful stretch that I'll show you in this video now is crossing one leg completely over the top of the other leg. Now remember, if you get pain with this one, just pull up and I'll show you a variation at the gym. But knees cross completely over one another, then bring the knees in and reach up and hold on to your little shin bones and pull your feet apart just a little. So you should get a really good stretch around the hips here. And then after about 30 seconds, uncross and cross over the other way, reaching up again and holding on to opposite shins. And just pull in until you feel a really good stretch through those glutes there. Now, as always, after we've stretched, it's wonderful to mobilize through that joint and then get a little bit of activation so that we're not walking around floppy all day. So from this position here, plant your heels into the ground, lift the hips up high, and then slowly lower all the way back down. So draw the belly button into the spine, tuck the tailbone, pressing through the heels, lift the hips all the way up, and we're going to do about 15 of these just to really get those glutes firing after we've done all of that stretching. And then if you'd like a little bit more, if that's too easy, lift up, hold, open the knees a little, close the knees a little, and then lower back down. So that's a really good movement for getting those glutes firing just after you've done all of that stretching. So that's this week's glute and lower back mobility and flexibility training. Let me know if you've got any questions and I'm more than happy to give you any variations for the exercises. Thank you all. Have a lovely weekend.